So what I've been told is that J.P.J. Young was the younger of the two men, and Ozias Reno was the older of them. J.P.J. Young enlisted in the Army of the Republic at the age of 15, I believe. Ozias Reno was a little bit older. I thought he was like 5 years older or something. But he enlisted also, and they both ended up serving in the 137th Pennsylvania Regiment in the Army of the Republic. And they went through a number of battles together, including Gettysburg. And J.P.J. Young, the younger of the two of them, was shot and injured. I think he was injured in his throat or jaw or somewhere. He went back to Pittsburgh and never went back into the war. But Ozias Reno continued on the war until the conclusion of the war. After that, then the Grand Army of the Republic, these different regiments would have reunions. And both J.P.J. Young and Ozias Reno would go to the reunions. So my grandfather, Robert Reno, who was the son of Ozias Reno, would drive the buckboard from Rochester, Pennsylvania into Pittsburgh to participate, so he could participate in these reunions. And he met there with my other grandfather, great-grandfather, J.P.J. Young. So at some point in time, when each of them came to a reunion, my grandfather, who drove my great-grandfather to Pittsburgh on the buckboard, met the daughter of my other grandfather, J.P.J. Young. So Elizabeth Young and Robert Reno met. They ended up getting married. Those are my grandparents, and they had 11 kids after that.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And what's the buckboard? What does that mean?
Just like, it's like a horse-drawn thing. It wasn't. They didn't have a lot of money, so it wasn't like a carriage or anything. Just a flat thing.
And then J.P. Young never knew Ozias Reno when they were fighting together at Gettysburg?
No, they did know each other.
They did know each other.
In fact, Ozias, who was the older of them, took the other one under his wing. Turns out, though, J.P.J. Young ended up being an accomplished businessman. And
even after getting shot in the face?
Yeah, pretty successful businessman.
Did he have like a prosthetic, or was it?
I don't know.
Was it just kind of an in and out thing?
It might have been an in and out thing, sort of thing. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What regiment was it? It was
I'm pretty sure it was 137.
That's awesome.
Because when you go to Gettysburg on that big Pennsylvania monument, it's right there. You can see them.
Yeah. And then cousin Ed has all that written down.
Ed had all that stuff.
Is it written down somewhere?
I don't think. No.
Oh no.
Because Ed used to tell me when I was telling Ed that like Matt was a writer, going to Columbia.
Yeah.
He said, I need to get Matt up here sometime and spend time with him so he can collect all this stuff. Ed had it all in his head. Ed was a really smart guy.
Yeah.
Had it all in his head. One of the coolest stories he told me was his wife, Ed's wife. I can't remember what her family name was, but there's a very famous picture in the Civil War of her relative who was injured at Gettysburg, sitting there holding his sword.
Oh wow!
And as the rebels went by, they took his sword, and while he was injured, like against this tree. And then what happened is the Union Army reversed and forced the Confederates back, and went past him, and he got his sword back somehow or other. And Ed has that sword.
Wow!
And it's a very famous picture, very famous story. And Ed said, "I got the sword." Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fantastic.
But Ed was, he had studied so much Gettysburg. I've heard the story several times. Ed would every summer take groups of people out to Gettysburg, family and friends and so forth, and that he would lecture what was going on, and the what do you call them? The Rangers would listen to him and learn from him.
Oh wow!
What he knew about
that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of fascinating history there. That just don't know.